Network address translation is a method of mapping an IP address space into another by modifying network address information in the IP header of packets while they are in transit across the traffic routing device. The technique was initially used to bypass the need to assign a new address to every host when the network was moved or when the upstream internet service provider was replaced but could not route the network's address space. It is a popular and essential tool in conserving global address space in the face of the IPv4 address exhaustion. One internet routable IP address of a NAT gateway can be used for an entire private network. As network address translation modifies IP address information in packets, NAT implementations may vary in their specific behavior in various addressing cases and their effect on network traffic. Vendors of equipment containing network address translation implementations do not commonly document the specifics of NAT behavior. History: Internet Protocol version 4 IPv4 uses 32-bit addresses capable of uniquely addressing about 4.3 billion devices on the network. By 1992, it became evident that that would not be enough. The 1994 RFC 1631 describes NAT as a short-term solution to the two most compelling problems facing the Internet Protocol at that time: IP address depletion and scaling and routing. By 2004, NAT had become widespread. The technique also became known as IP masquerading, which suggests a technique that hides an entire IP address space, usually consisting of private IP addresses, behind a single IP address in another usual public address space. Because of the popularity of this technique to conserve IPv4 address space, the term NAT became virtually synonymous with IP masquerading. In 1996, port addressing translation (PAT) was introduced, which expanded the translation of addresses to include port numbers. Basic NAT, the simplest type of NAT, provides a one-to-one translation of IP addresses. RFC 1631, RFC 2663 refers to this type of network address translation as basic NAT, also called a one-to-one NAT. And this type of NAT only IP addresses, IP header checksum, and any higher level checksums that include the IP address are changed. Basic NAT can be used to interconnect two IP networks with incompatible addresses. One-to-many NAT. Most network address translators map multiple private hosts to one publicly exposed IP address. In a typical configuration, a local network uses one of the designated private IP address subnets, RFC 1918. The network has a router having network interfaces on both the private and public networks. The public address is typically assigned by an internet service provider. As traffic passes from the private network to the internet, NAT translates the source address in each packet from a private address to the router's public address. The NAT facility tracks each active connection. When the router receives inbound traffic from the internet, it uses the connection tracking data obtained during the outbound phase to determine to which private address it should forward the reply. Packets passing from the private network to the public network will have their source address modified, while packets passing from the public network back to the private network will have their destination address modified. To avoid ambiguity in how the replies are translated, further modifications to the packets are required. The vast bulk of internet traffic uses Transmission Control Protocol (TCP) or User Datagram Protocol (UDP). For these protocols, the port numbers are changed so that the combination of IP address within the IP header and port number within the transport layer header on the returned packets can be unambiguously mapped to the corresponding private network destination. RFC 2663 uses the term network address and port translation (NAPT). For this type of NAT, other names include port address translation (PAT), IP masquerading, NAT overload, and many to one NAT. This is the most common type of NAT and has become synonymous with the term NAT in common usage. This method allows communication through the router only when the conversation originates in the private network, since the initial originating transmission establishes the required information in the translation tables. Thus, a web browser within the private network is able to browse websites outside the network, whereas web browsers outside the network are unable to browse a website hosted within. Protocols not based on TCP and UDP require other translation techniques. The primary benefit of one-to-many NAT is mitigation of IPv4 address exhaustion by allowing entire networks to be connected to the internet using a single public IP address. Methods of translation. Network address and port translation may be implemented in several ways. Some applications that use IP address information may need to determine the external address of a network address translator. This is the address that its communication pairs in the external network detect. Furthermore, it may be necessary to examine and categorize the type of mapping in use. For example, when it is desired to set up a direct communication path between two clients, both of which are behind separate NAT gateways. For this purpose, RFC 3489 specifies the protocol simple traversal of UDP over NAT's stun in 2003. It classified NAT implementations as full cone NAT, address restricted cone NAT, port restricted cone NAT, or symmetric NAT, and proposed a methodology for testing a device accordingly. However, these procedures have since been deprecated from standard status as the methods are inadequate to correctly assess many devices. RFC 5389 standardized new methods in 2008, and the acronym STUN represents the new title of the specification, Session Traversal Utilities for NAT. NAT types: Endpoint Independent NAT, Full Cone NAT, One-to-One NAT, or NAT1. Once the internal address I port is mapped to an external address E port, any packets from I port are sent through E port. Any external host can send packets to I port by sending packets to E port. Address dependent NAT, restricted cone NAT, or NAT2. Once an internal address I port is mapped to an external address E port, any packets from I port are sent through E port. An external host H any can send packets to I port by sending packets to E port only if I port has previously sent the packet to H any. Any means the port number doesn't matter. Address and port dependent NAT, port restricted cone NAT, or NAT3. Once an internal address I port is mapped to an external address E port, any packets from I port are sent through E port. An external host H port can send packets to I port by sending packets to E port only if I port has previously sent the packet to H port. It is similar to an address restricted cone NAT, but the restriction includes port numbers. Address and port dependent NAT, symmetric NAT, or NAT4. The combination of one internal IP address and a destination IP address and a port is mapped to a single unique external source IP address and port if the same internal host sends a packet even with the same source address and port but to a different destination. A different mapping is used. Only an external host that receives a packet from an internal host can send a packet back. As many NAT implementations combine multiple types, it is better to refer to specific individual NAT behavior instead of using the cone symmetric terminology. RFC 4787 attempts to alleviate confusion by introducing standardized terminology for observed behaviors. For the first bullet in each row of the above table, the RFC would characterize full cone, restricted cone, and port restricted cone NATs as having an endpoint independent mapping, whereas it would characterize a symmetric NAT as having an address and port dependent mapping. For the second bullet in each row of the above table, RFC 4787 would also label full cone NAT as having an endpoint independent filtering, restricted cone NAT as having an address dependent filtering, port restricted cone NAT as having an address and port dependent filtering, and symmetric NAT as having either an address dependent filtering or address and port dependent filtering. Other classifications of NAT behavior mentioned in the RFC include whether they preserve ports, when and how mappings are refreshed, whether external mappings can be used by internal hosts, meaning its hairpinning behavior, and the level of determinism NATs exhibit when applying all these rules. Specifically, most NATs combine symmetric NAT for outgoing connections with static port mapping, where incoming packets addressed to the external address and port are redirected to a specific internal address and port. NAT mapping versus NAT filtering. RFC 4787 distinguishes between NAT mapping and NAT filtering. Section 4.1 of the RFC covers NAT mapping and specifies the translation of an external IP address and port number into an internal IP address and port number. It defines endpoint independent mapping, address dependent mapping, and address and port dependent mapping. Explains that these three possible choices do not relate to the security of NAT, as security is determined by the filtering behavior, and then specifies a NAT must have a endpoint independent mapping behavior. Section 5 of the RFC covers NAT filtering and describes the criteria used by the NAT to filter packets originating from specific external endpoints. The options are endpoint independent filtering, address dependent filtering, and address and port dependent filtering. Endpoint independent filtering is recommended where maximum application transparency is required, while address dependent filtering is recommended where more stringent filtering behavior is most important. Some NAT devices are not compliant with RFC 4787 as they treat NAT mapping and filtering in the same way, so that their configuration option for changing the NAT filtering method also changes the NAT mapping method, meaning NAT gate, TNSR. Type of network address translation and network address translation traversal. Role of port preservation for TCP. NAT traversal problems arise when peers behind different NATs try to communicate. One way to solve this problem is to use port forwarding. Another way is to use various NAT traversal techniques. The most popular technique for TCP NAT traversal is TCP hole punching. TCP hole punching requires the NAT to follow the port preservation designed for TCP for a given outgoing TCP communication. The same port numbers are used on both sides of the NAT. NAT port preservation for outgoing TCP connections is crucial for TCP NAT traversal because on the TCP one port can only be used for one communication at a time. Programs that bind distinct TCP sockets to ephemeral ports for each TCP communication make NAT port prediction impossible for TCP. On the other hand, for UDP, NATs do not need port preservation. Indeed, multiple UDP communications, each with a distinct endpoint, can occur on the same source port, and applications usually reuse the same UDP socket to send packets to the distinct hosts. This makes port prediction straightforward, as it is the same source port for each packet. Furthermore, port preservation in NAT for TCP allows peer-to-peer protocols to offer less complexity and less latency because there is no need to use a third party like Stun to discover the NAT port, since the application itself already knows the NAT port. However, if two internal hosts attempt to communicate with the same external host using the same port number, the NAT may attempt to use a different external IP address. For the second connection, may need to forego port preservation and remap the port. As of 2006, roughly 70% of the clients in peer-to-peer networks employed some form of NAT implementation, establishing two-way communication. Every TCP and UDP packet contains a source port number and a destination port number. Each of those packets is encapsulated in an IP packet whose IP header contains a source IP address and a destination IP address. The IP address protocol port number triple defines an association with the network socket. For publicly accessible services such as web and mail service, the port number is important. For example, port 443 connects through a socket to the web server software, and port 465 to a mail service to SMTP daemon. The IP address of a public server is also important. Similar in global uniqueness to a postal address or telephone number, both the IP address and port number must be correctly known by all hosts wishing to communicate successfully. Private IP addresses, as described in RFC 1918, are usable only if only one private network not directly connects to the internet. Ports are endpoints of communication unique to that host, so connection through the NAT device is maintained by the combined mapping of port and IP address. A private address on the inside of the NAT is mapped to an external public address. Port address translation (PIT) resolves conflicts that arise when multiple hosts happen to use the same source port number to establish different external connections at the same time. Translation process. When network address translation, all communications sent to the external hosts actually contain the external IP address and port information of the NAT device instead of the internal host IP addresses and port numbers. NAT only translates IP addresses and ports of its internal hosts, hiding the true endpoint of an internal host on a private network. When a computer on the private internal network sends an IP packet to the external network, the NAT device replaces the internal source IP address in the packet header with the external IP address of the NAT device. PIT may then assign the connection a port number from a pool of available ports. Inserting this port number in the source port field, the packet is then forwarded to the external network. The NAT device then makes an entry in a translation table containing the internal IP address, original source port, and the translated source port. Subsequent packets from the same internal source IP address and port number are translated to the same external source IP address and port number. The computer receiving a packet that has undergone NAT establishes a connection to the port and IP address specified in the altered packet, oblivious to the fact that the supplied address is being translated. Upon receiving a packet from the external network, the NAT device searches the translation table based on the destination ports in the packet header. If a match is found, the destination IP address and port number are replaced with the values found in the table, and the packet is forwarded to the inside network. Otherwise, if the destination port number of the incoming packet is not found in the translation table, the packet is dropped or rejected because the PIT device doesn't know where to send it.